about what's happening
Mm-hmm.
over this time. If we can start with, though, if you can tell me your first and last name,
Yep.
spell your first and last name, what school you're at, and what grade you're in.
Great. Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Haleigh Marshall. That's Haleigh. Marshall, Marshall. I'm a junior, and I go to Hamilton High School.
Okay. Haleigh, so from here on out, you'll just look at me the whole time, okay?
Yeah.
So, Haleigh, tell me about what's your learning experience like in school now?
So I take 2 AP classes, so it's a little different from normal learning experiences sometimes. Um, my teachers, they all have different styles of teaching. Some of them will stand up and they'll do lectures where you're just sitting there and you're taking notes, whereas I have some teachers who make it a point to sit at a level that's below the students, to really get down on their level, and those are classes that I really enjoy, where the teacher isn't leading the discussion normally, it's the students. And the students are really taking control of it. The teacher has an ending and a beginning, but the students are creating the roadmap to get to where they're supposed to end up.
We've talked about over the last day, different environments, stressors, things like that. Tell me, what is it like when a teacher is stressed out?
When a teacher is stressed out, sometimes the examples they give, the dots aren't always connected. The main framework is there, but it can be a little hard to relate when a teacher's stressed out. The notes can be a little shaky, a little all over the place. And compared to when they're not stressed out, it flows a lot better than
How
what it does.
does that add any stress into your life when your teacher has a burnout or a sense of stress?
Well, sometimes it's kind of nice. I have one teacher who will say, "Hey, I'm really stressed out, so we're gonna kind of take it really slow today," and the students can relate because the students are stressed out. But when you're ready to really get work done and your teacher is having a burnout, sometimes in class you're just sitting there waiting for the teacher to try and get everything in the lesson plan together when you're ready to go. So that can be kind of frustrating from a student's perspective.
Do you think teachers carry the burdens of students?
Yeah, I definitely think they do. So when students are coming in their classroom and they're having a bad day, the teacher can tell that. The student will act differently when they're having a bad day, and the teacher might not know exactly what is going on, but they'll have a feeling that something's off, and that can lead to teacher asking questions to the class and nobody responding because they're having a bad day and they're not feeling up to giving their responses and having their peers comment on those responses.
What are some things? Um, what are some things that we can do to help relieve burnout from educators so that they teach better?
So at my school, from what I've heard, the teachers are required to collect data from the students and turn it in. And basically the teachers tell us they're jumping through hoops today. We're going to take a practice quiz that we're all going to fail just so they can turn in the data so they can be, I don't know, categorized as a good teacher or a bad teacher. So that kind of just tells the students this doesn't matter. Why am I doing this? Why am I not learning something useful that I'm going to use? Why am I sitting here taking a test that I'm going to fail in the end just
How
to
does that affect you mentally when you know you're going to fail a test?
it really stresses me out because my grades, I don't really fail. That is something that gives me a lot of anxiety. So that sitting there and taking that test and not knowing how to do any of it, but knowing it's called a test, it puts a lot of stress on the students.
If you could go through your school and just take a magic wand and make it your ideal learning, what would you do?
So that's the third time I've been asked this in
Oh my
2
gosh.
days.
In 2 days?
Yeah,
I know,
so
that's what happens when you're with a bunch of educators, right?
right?
'Cause your voice is important.
Yeah. So what I say is,
Let me guess. Paige Detman probably asked you. Real skinny lady.
oh
You don't know
gosh.
their names.
No, I'm terrible with names.
That's
I'm
okay.
really sorry. I know my superintendent asked me, and then the student group asked me.
Okay.
Um,
So back to this question.
Back to the question. So my teachers and I have talked about this a lot when we just have extra time in class. And one of the things that I continually bring up is just the passion in learning, the passion that I have for learning. Sometimes I don't always get to really explore because we're stuck doing the standards that the state requires us to teach. So my ideal school, I guess to say, would be you're allowing teachers to give lectures on things that they're passionate about, and you're releasing a list of lectures to those students. And students have a key card that they can swipe to go and sit in and listen on a teacher talking about something that they're really passionate about. And those kids would share that same passion because they chose to learn about that topic. And that's where those passions would collide. That's where the light comes back into the child's eyes and they really enjoy learning and they look at education in a total different light. And I understand that everything's not really worked out there. You have to find a way to get the liberal education outlook on things. Like you have to require kids to sit through so many lectures on math and so many lectures on science because that's what you need to get into college. You need to be well-rounded. So it doesn't even have to just be that for a whole year. It could be a month or a week where you have teachers focus and create this project and then they get to share it with the kids who share those passions.
Is this your first time being part of a larger conversation and writing a book and creating that book?
Yes.
So what's this process been like? Like with the writing a trailer, laying out a book, like a book that we know is going to get published.
So I did future prepped last year, and I came here to Hayworth, and they gave me a problem, and I used the design thinking process. In over 6 weeks, we solved the problem for Hayworth and gave a huge presentation on it. So I'm kind of relating it to that, except this is like 10 times faster than that because we had 6 weeks, and here we have like 2 days. So it's fun for me to make those connections, but it's so eye-opening just seeing the adults make those connections so much faster. But I'm able to connect those dots with them at the same time.
You mentioned adults. The comment made today during the opening session was you aren't a kid, you were an equal here. How did that make you feel?
That was really nice to hear just because sometimes in school, like I know my freshman and sophomore year, the teachers treated us differently. The classes were a lot more structured, whereas the classes I'm in now, the teachers are giving us more freedom just because we're older, they know us better, we've been around the high school for a couple years, we know how it works. So just hearing that again, hearing that we're given that freedom here outside of our school habitat or whatever you want to call it, that's really nice to hear because it makes you feel valued, and it lets us know that even though we're kids, even though I'm 16, what I say and what I do here will affect this book and will affect what goes into it.
What's been one aha moment for you?
Oh man. Oh gosh. So during the movie trailer kind of experiment or whatever, they asked me what do I want to change about my school, and I said the exact same thing. And I said passions colliding with passions, and all the adults' eyes like lit up, and they're like, "That's amazing!" And I was like, "Oh, you're just saying stuff. Like it's nothing special." So it was cool to see like them latch on and grab onto that, and like that's a thing that my group is still using now. We've used it in the book cover. We used it in this chapter planning right now, and that's really cool. And like I saw the leader of this like conference grab onto that idea too. So it was cool to see them take my idea and really just embrace it.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Haleigh.
Yeah, no problem.